Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming to another story time today. It finally is feeling like spring outside. It's sunny and nice out for the first time in a really long time, so I'm super pumped. And one of my favorite things about spring is all of the birds that return. So today we have a bird-themed story for you, and it's about one of my favorite birds. I think these birds are so funny and so fun to watch. But they're kind of hard to find, and I don't see them all that often. So our story today is going to be about a belted kingfisher. And if you don't know what that bird looks like, I have a picture here to show you. These birds are very good hunters. So you can see this bird has a fish in its mouth. They eat their whole diet is aquatic, so things like fish or crayfish, sometimes even frogs. So things that they can find in the water, and they'll sit perched up really high. They'll see something they want to eat and dive down into the water, close their eyes, grab it in their beak, and fly back up. Pretty impressive to watch if you ever get to watch it. This is one of the only birds where the female is actually more colorful than the male. Normally it's the other way around. So the female has that chestnut color on her, and the male tends to be just white and that kind of bluish gray color. Okay. We have these birds in Minnesota and Wisconsin. If you live in the southern parts of these states, and you have open water around, they might even stay all year. Otherwise, they migrate because they need open water to hunt for their food. And they nest. Well, I won't tell you where they nest yet because we'll talk about that in our story. When the babies are in the nest, they have special acids in their stomach to help them dissolve certain things that are hard for our tummies to digest, like bones, like from fish, or fish scales, or arthropod shells. So an arthropod might be like a crayfish in the water. So those are all things that bird tummies can't really digest. So the babies have special acid in their tummies that help them digest it. The parents lose that acidity in their stomach, so instead they have to regurgitate those parts back up. That means puke it back up, just like an owl might do with bones or fur from their meals. So I think that's super cool. I have never found a belted kingfisher pellet, but I've seen pictures of them, and you can see all the little fish scales in there. And that's actually, scientists can use those and dissect them to find out what certain birds have been eating. So super cool. One day I hope to find one of those. I'm going to show you a picture of one. So it looks like that. And you can see actually in this photo, the female is about to puke up her pellet of fish bones and fish scales. And then it looks like that. Okay, so I think those are all my favorite facts about kingfishers. So we'll go ahead and read our story. It's called Mel Fell, and it was written and illustrated by Corey R. Tabor. And you might notice this is how I would normally hold a book, right? But today our book is going to be this way, and we'll see if it stays that way the whole time. You have any predictions on what might be about to happen in our book? One day, when Mama was away, Mel decided it was time to learn to fly. She had been in the nest long enough. "Aren't you scared?" asked her sister, Pim. "Yes," said Mel, "but I won't let that stop me." Mel's looking pretty brave up there. She looked down. "It sure is a long drop," said her brother, Pip. "Well," said Mel, "I've got wings." Mel was scared, and it was a long drop, but today was the day she would fly. Something I think about a lot. It must be really scary for birds to fly for the first time. "See you soon," she told her siblings. She jumped, she flipped, she spread her wings, and then she fell. Mel fell and fell. The squirrels tried to catch her. They really did. They'd grown quite fond of those squeaky little chirpers upstairs. blast, nuts, oof, aye. But it was no use. They missed her by a whisker. Zeezel, zeezel, said the bees, but they barely slowed her down. It says down here, in case you don't speak bee, that was, we will save you. Even the spider lent a hand. 8 of them. She broke right through the spider's web, and the fly is flying away saying, I'm free. But still, Mel fell. She fell and fell. Whoop. The ants are trying to save her. There's a slug here. He says, do not fear, helpless little bird. I will catch you. Do you think Slug's going to be fast enough to save Mel? Oh no! You can see cattails here. Mel must be getting really close to the ground. Splash! Mel dived into the water. She snapped her beak and caught a fat little fish. She kicked her legs, she wiggled her tail feathers, she spread her wings, and then she flew. Mel flew and flew. There she goes, past the ants and the slug. As Mel flew by, the spider clapped her hands. All 8 of them. Clap, 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 clap. Yeah. The bees said, huzzah, huzzah. The squirrels raced her to the top. Mama was waiting when she got there. I flew, said Mel. Mel's so excited that she flew. What did Mel drop? I'm flying, her fish said. I knew you could, said Mama. I knew I could too, said Mel. Do not fear, helpless little fish. I will catch you. Someone saying down below. Who speaks really slow? Probably Slug, huh? Now a Slug's trying to save our fish. And then we hear a big splash. So Mel learned to fly, but she lost her fish. And there's a note from the author here. It says, Mel is a kingfisher. Kingfishers catch fish by diving into the water from tree branches or wires. Many kingfishers nest in tunnels they dig in earthen banks near water, while others nest in tree hollows. Some even live in old termite nests. A young kingfisher probably doesn't catch a fish the first time they leave the nest. But then, Mel is a very special bird. So it says that they nest in tunnels they dig in earthen banks near water. So kingfishers really like when you have a big dirt bank near the water that's super steep, and then they dig a tunnel into the bank. Actually, they dig a tunnel this way, up into the bank so rainwater can't collect in there. And they can be between 3 to 6 feet deep into the bank, where they lay their eggs then inside. And the female sits on the nest, and the male brings food to the female while she's sitting on the nest. So because they nest so deep into the banks and they really don't like to be near people, they can be very, very hard to find, especially during the nesting season. So head out this spring and see if you can find them. You can your best bet of finding them is to look near water, right? Near where they're hunting. So any areas near water with branches without vegetation below them where they could sit and perch and look down for food, or even like a telephone wire going over, that's a good place to look for a kingfisher. I will post some resources for you with our story time. There is a super cute little bird ornament that you can make. It's a felt ornament that you can sew together. If you're like, whoa, that sounds really complicated, we made these cute little bird ornaments, not this one, with our 3rd and 4th grade eco campers a few years back, and they were super cute. So you never know until you try. So I'll post a link for that, and then we also have a link for our spring birding resources, because it's springtime and the birds are going to start going crazy here. They're all migrating back. We're seeing tons of new bird species every day here in the Driftless, and some birds are already even making their nests. So be on the lookout for birds this spring. Enjoy those resources, and we will see you, well, I will see you in another 2 weeks for another story time, and Kim will be back with a new story for you next week. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.